says crafting is a dying art? I'm finding crafters all over the Middle Tennessee region who make unique items that will be passed down for generations to come. Welcome to HandMade Tennessee. I'm Kimberly Vance, along with my special guest today, Sonny Davis. Hi, Sonny.
Hi, Kimberly.
Thank you so much for coming on and being with us today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, he's going to be showing us today how to tie flies. Tell you what, me and my girlfriends, everybody that I've said something to, I've gotten tongue twisted every time I've said it. We've said tie flying, fly tying.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, so we've had a really good time with this, though, already before you even got here. So you're going to be showing us today all the different flies to do fly fishing with.
Right. Not all of them, but some of them.
A lot of different ones.
A lot of different patterns.
Yeah. How long have you been interested? Do you actually love to fly fish?
Oh,
obviously,
yes,
right?
Yes,
okay.
yes. It's to me, it's a little more challenging than fishing with just conventional tackle.
Right.
Yeah. And you're generally wading in the river doing it, so you know you're closer to the water.
Right.
And, you know,
yeah. So that's pretty neat because I've got to tell you, I love to fish, but I've never actually, I've fly fished a couple of times. I've thrown it out there, I'm back, and I'm like, this is too much work, and then I go and sink it back in.
Right.
And but I love to watch people do it though, because they do wade out with their waders and stuff, and then you just throw it, and you throw it, and you're trying to get a fish to bite right away.
Right. You're trying to get the fish to bite the bug that's on the end of your leader. Yeah, and then you're actually not casting the fly, you're casting the line. The line's a big, thick, weighted, and then you cut. You're going to have a little leader on the end of it where your bug is at, and that's what we've got laid out here.
Oh, that's
some
neat.
Of the bugs, yeah.
So we were also talking a little bit about different types of fish. Now, do you have a special fish that you like to fish for? Or?
Mostly, when I fish the rivers around here, it's smallmouth and largemouth bass. But now I go into East Tennessee sometimes. We go into the cold water, tailwaters of the mountains and whatnot, and trout. The brown trout and the rainbow trout. They're pretty.
Because they love cold water, don't they? I love doing that too.
Yes.
That's good fishing.
Yes.
So you would use a different type of fly for each fish that you're trying to catch. Now, where did you learn, okay, I know these fish is that just something you kind of from trial and error?
Well, no, it's kind
of a known fact.
It's kind of a known fact, yeah. You read books and get videos and, educational programs on fly fishing and whatnot. I read somewhere where there's more books more books printed on the subject of fly fishing than any subject in the world.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I've got some fly fishing books at home. But, that makes sense. I haven't read them yet. I'll have to now so I can get in on that statistic, right?
Yep.
Now, what all do you have here? You've got quite a bit of stuff.
Okay.
If we want to tie our own flies, I take it we would need a little bit of equipment.
Right.
Okay.
There are some basic tools you would need, and it's the vise, actually. It just holds your hook in your work while you're doing it. It's got to have a good base to it or a C-clamp to mount to your table.
That's pretty heavy.
Yes, it is. It's real heavy. Then your materials.
Whatever you want to put on them.
Bird feathers, fur, synthetic materials. There's too many to name. It's just,
We were talking about peacock feathers and stuff the other day, and I can't imagine that a fish would be interested in a peacock feather.
Well, when you see it put together on a fly, you'll know why.
Okay, all right, good. That's going to be neat.
Yeah.
All right, so I noticed too, your hook. Do you use the same size hook for everything?
No. Generally, the larger hooks are for bass and smallmouth bass and largemouth bass or saltwater fish. The little tiny hooks are made for trout because the natural food that a trout feeds on in the creeks and in the streams and in the tailwaters are real tiny little insects, and we can go over some of that here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, neat. Show us some of your finished work here.
Okay. Probably one of the most versatile flies if I had one fly to fish with, it'd be this fly right here. It's called a woolly booger.
I'm going to hold that up just a little bit. A woolly booger?
Woolly
now, that's
booger.
Just fine.
Right.
What would you catch with this one?
Trout, bass, bluegill, anything. Pretty much anything.
All right.
Here's two other little trout flies we have here. This is called a sulphur. It's an imitation of a mayfly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And this one here is it's called a royal coachman. And it's an old design, and it's what they call an attractor fly. It really doesn't resemble any kind of bug, but the fish seem to like it for some reason.
And I see you've got just a little bitty hook in that.
Exactly. These two little flies here are actually sinking flies, and that's what we use in the tailwaters in East Tennessee. The red one there is called a midge. And the other one is called a nymph, a pheasant tail nymph. You know, and we can make them smaller than that, but
wow, I don't
it
see
gets
how
really
that
hard.
is tiny.
It is tiny. I think that's a size 20.
Wow.
And in a hook size, the larger the number, the smaller the hook is.
Okay.
So I think this hook I'm using here is a 2, where that's a 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is 20 the smallest?
No, they get down to 32.
Golly, I can't even imagine that.
No, I can
I'll
hardly
see how
see
you
them.
can see that.
I can't hardly see them.
Because, I mean, that's itty bitty.
Yeah, that's
and that
tiny.
hook on
Yeah.
that is tiny.
It's tiny.
Now, that, of course, that looks like a dragonfly.
It's exactly right.
All right.
Yep, it's exactly right. The other ones there, this is the one that I'm going to be tying, first of all. It's called a Clouser minnow. And it profiles a minnow. It's got a white belly and a colored back and then the eyeballs, and it's a weighted fly. Developed by a gentleman in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but named Bob Clouser. And he's wrote several books, and yeah, and I know him personally, and he's a wonderful fellow.
Oh,
yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah.
Now, is that an aspiration of yours to invent a fly and have it named after you?
Well, no, not really, but
That'd be neat, though.
Yeah, it'd be neat. I mean, there's so many. You know, I develop patterns, and you think you've developed something new, and then you'll see a picture
Somebody
like
else
you've
has
just got to it before you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
This one is a cicada. It's an imitation
Really looks
of a
like a
cicada.
spider.
It looks like, yeah. It's of course it's black with an orange belly, and this past summer when the cicadas were hatching, that was a real good fly to use
Oh,
on
I'd
the
say
river.
so. Yeah, they were making a lot of racket this
Yeah.
past year.
Now this little fly here is what we call an attractor fly, and it's one that I developed, and I call it the electric ant.
Electric ant.
Yeah,
Oh, very
because
appropriate name.
It's
like that.
brightly colored. The bluegill love it. You know, it's just a good fly for bluegill. This one is called the stealth bomber. And it was developed by a man named Kent Edmonds down in LaGrange, Georgia. And that thing really took off a couple of years ago, and all the fly shops that are selling that fly are really, you know, they're really selling a lot of that
Oh,
pattern.
that's neat.
Yeah.
So you would make a bunch, if you were going to do that, you would make a bunch of them
Yes.
and then take them to the stores or whatever?
Well, I
Take
don't
them to a
really
developer?
sell. I don't really sell my flies. I give them away, or you know, use them myself. But
Yeah. Oh, that's neat.
actually, there's, you know, if you have somebody else's design and you sell them to a store, then you know they're by law they're required to, you know, get royalties off that pattern.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's neat. Stealth bomber. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like the electric ant.
Yeah.
All right. So what all have you got here? What are
Okay.
these?
Now these are little lead eyes.
Okay.
That goes on that Clouser minnow right there.
Okay.
These are just a little different color.
And they are actually, they resemble eyes
Yes,
for the
yes.
bug.
You'll
Okay.
see when we put one on here.
All right.
And you know, you just need a good pair of nice sharp scissors. These are not cheap. They're, you know, $25 or $30 a pair because they're real sharp and they last a long time. This tool here is called a whip finisher. And when you go through with a fly, you spin the thread around it, and then it makes a series of half hitches, and I'll show that to you.
All right.
Through time.
And then what is that right there?
Okay, this is for another pattern that I'm going to be doing. This is called chenille.
I love chenille.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think they used it in the carpet industry a long time ago for some reason.
And bedspreads. And, yeah.
But it's chenille. We're going to be using that one for another little bug we're going to be making.
All right.
Here we have dyed bucktail. That comes in eons of colors.
Wow.
I mean, and bucktail is used for lots of different flies. Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it would take a very large piece.
No, it doesn't.
So a bucktail this size would probably last you for a lot of
hundreds of flies.
Wow. Oh, that's neat, and it's
Yep.
dyed like that. Do you find it beneficial for it to be dyed? Does it attract more fish?
Yes. Good. And I've got them. You know, I've got it in red. I've got it in orange and black and purple and green and yes.
Oh, that's neat. Let's see your other one. That one, I
this
assume
is a natural. It's just natural color, natural. That hasn't been dyed. Just cleaned and processed.
Oh, that's neat. So there's a use for every part of the deer.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
neat. That's beautiful.
Yep.
I'm thinking that's on a hat.
Well, you
If
know,
it comes up missing, don't look at me.
we use a material in fly tying. Well, you can probably see some of it here. It's called hackle, and it comes from a specially bred chicken. And it got real popular this year among hairdressers. It's the hackle is a real long, skinny feather, and I think Steve Tyler on American Idol got to wearing them in his hair, and it got real popular with the young girls, and it's caused us a shortage of hackle. So,
really?
yes.
Oh, I'm not surprised
Yes.
then, because
Yeah.
they everywhere you would go, you would see signs that say,
Oh, yes.
put feathers in your hair.
Well, those originally were meant for fly tying.
I'll be. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So now that I see, actually one of my daughters has a little blue one left in her hair that she's had for probably a year.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that something? Oh, that's fun. Now, what is this?
That is called peacock curl. That's what we were talking about earlier. But, and it's a real popular material to tie flies with.
Because of its iridescence?
It's iridescence, and it can wrap around a hook easy. The only bad thing about peacock curl is really fragile.
Oh my goodness, you can't even feel that.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you can't even feel that. Boy, I'd say that's hard to work with.
Yeah, it is. It is. It breaks a lot. So.
All right, now, what do you have here? This is actually
It's called a bobbin.
Okay.
That's what it's got spring tension on it where it'll keep the thread on the spool, and that's what you can different size bobbins. They make them now that's got ceramic tips on them where they'll never wear out. All of these are just stainless steel. Yeah.
Now, is that actually just a thread that you have on there?
That's a specialty thread, and it comes in different sizes too. It's this is a 210 denier, which is pretty heavy. This is a 140 denier, which is a middle grade thickness, and then there's a 70 denier, which is real thin, is what you want to use on these little tiny
the little
bugs
bitty
here.
ones.
Yeah.
Now it feels just like a normal thread.
It's waxed. It's got a little bit of wax on it, but yeah, it's a nylon.
It feels like a nice thread.
Yeah.
You know, it feels just a little pinch heavier. All right, so this is all the tools that we need. All right.
Yes, and I think we went over everything. We're going to be tying one fly up with a pheasant tail.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
All right, well, if you don't care then, give us a demonstration.
All right, we'll go
And you're
at it.
going to be making this one?
That one right, it's called the Clouser Minnow, yes.
Clouser Minnow from Bob Clouser.
So first of all, we've laid a little thread base right here about a third of the way back.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do is take our scissors, cut that base off.
Now, do you have a storehouse full of flies at home, or do you like to make up a new bunch just about every time you go?
Yes and no. If I'm going to East Tennessee trout fishing, I usually don't keep a lot of the little bitty stuff in stock. But now we're going to take and lay the eyes on here and get a good thread wrap.
Okay, so that's how you're actually, that's how you're actually putting the eyes on. And you're just securing it on there.
And we'll put a little under wrap right here.
Wow.
And what that's doing is pushing up on those eyes to secure them in place.
And to make sure they are standing up
Yes.
like a real
yes,
bug?
Yes.
Oh,
And-
isn't that
yep,
something?
yep,
And that's
see
just
that?
secure as that
Yep,
can be.
And then we'll take some of our deer hair that we were looking at a little earlier. And you don't want much. One of the drawbacks I had when I first started tying was I was using too much material.
It does seem like more would be better, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
that's certainly not the case
That's not
a
the
lot
case.
of times.
Now, the hair that we're looking for here is the longer pieces, and there's some under hair here that we don't want, so we'll just pull it out.
So you've basically gotten the best of the fur.
Yes,
Best of the
I got
hair.
we're just taking the under fur out.
Okay,
And I'm going to leave a little mess with you here. So.
that's all right.
Then we'll take and tie like a loose wrap. Tie that in.
Now, it doesn't to me look like there would be much danger of this coming apart.
No,
The way it's securely.
right. And
wrapped.
after we get through with these Clouser minnows here, their head gets coated with epoxy. So yeah.
How neat.
No, they won't come off.
And the fish don't smell the epoxy, I guess.
No,
They just
no.
look at it.
A bass, usually when a smallmouth bass hits that, they don't, boom, they just hit it, you know. All right, so what we've got to do here, we've got to flip this thing over So we'll take it out of the vise, flip him over.
And that hook just hooks in there?
Yes, it's a vise.
Okay.
Okay. Now we'll take some of this material. I don't think we've discussed this material. This is some of our synthetics. It's called Crystal Flash.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice. It feels kind of almost like a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a synthetic material. We'll take probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 strands of it here.
And what does that do? Does that just give some color to it?
It gives a little flash. Little,
okay.
You know, when it reflects in the water, it looks like a flash.
An attention getter.
Mm-hmm. And we'll put that on there, right on the front. And we'll secure it down.
Now, how many times have you ever poked yourself with a hook?
A bunch.
All right.
A bunch.
Ouch.
Okay, we got that part done. Here's the flash.
Okay.
Now we'll go back and we'll get our chartreuse.
Right.
And we probably want just a little more chartreuse than we did white. So I'll get a pretty good little clump here. And like I said, we don't
clean out the.
We want to clean out just the short hair. Measure that off a little bit.
And now you could use any colors that you had in that. Is this a lot personal preference, or is it pretty scientific because each fish tends to do better with certain things?
Yeah, well, most of my fishing I do with the clouser minnows for smallmouth. And there's something about that chartreuse color right there that a smallmouth, they love it. Still got just a little too much fur going on here.
And I guess a lot of this you've learned by trial and error.
Exactly.
How did you get started in making your own flies?
Well, actually I've been fly fishing all my life, but it was, you know, for warm water species, using popping bugs and whatnot. And when I got into cold water fly fishing for trout and everything, you couldn't find, you can't go buy it. You can go to Walmart and buy a popping bug for bluegill, but you can't go buy the midges in the
right, the variety.
The variety,
right.
Yeah. So, you know, and plus to me it's an extension of fishing, you know, on these old cold winter rainy days, you know. I can be sitting up in my den, you know, and you know,
doing whatever,
and
tying
you know, here
the
tying flies, yeah.
How fun.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So that's where you kind of got interested. You thought, well, I'll just make my own.
Yeah. And I got a relative that lives in Knoxville that he owns a company that makes fly fishing gear.
Wow.
So it's Chota Outdoor Gear, and he has all the tying equipment, and he let me kind of piddle around with it there every time I go up and visit them, and I really got hooked on it. So.
Oh, that's neat.
So, well, we've got this much of it done, and what we're going to do is take this whip finisher. And actually what this is doing is putting half hitches in it.
Wow. I think I could sew better if I had
and there we
some of
have
that equipment.
A clouser minnow.
And that's done.
That's done.
Oh, neat. Watch out for that hook there. Oh, that is so fun. And that's what you've made there. And I see you've got red eyes in that one.
Got red eyes on that one.
Now, when I have seen these before, I thought, how in the world did they get those eyes stuck in there?
Yeah.
But it's just put on
a thread
like
raft,
that. Oh, that is so neat. Well, isn't that fun?
Yeah, that's that. And you can see this is a little bigger size than this one. Yep.
Oh, that's neat. Now, did you say you were going to show us something else?
Yes. I'm going to show a pattern that's real popular with bluegill, catching bluegill in the lakes. It's called a bully spider.
What is that, copper on that spool?
Yes,
over
that's
there?
copper wire. Yeah, it's really, really thin. It's just called ultra wire.
And do you use it in place of some of the threads on some of them?
Some of the peacock herl here and some of the pheasant tail, it's really fragile. So what we do is we wrap the the hook with the peacock curl or the pheasant tail, and then counter wrap it with a copper wire to give it some reinforcement so that when you catch a fish on it, the fly won't fall apart on you. So,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yep. Okay, let's see.
Goodness, those are tiny.
Yes, they are. I usually would bring my tweezers, but I forgot them.
That's all right. Here, I've got some fingernails.
Okay, so you can grab that hook.
See if I can do any good. There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, this is actually a size 16 hook.
Okay.
And what we're going to have to do is adjust our vise to accommodate that little size. So we'll just close it up
So
here.
they actually go to half that size
Oh, yes.
in smallness.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
And clamp it down. And what we're going to do is use the lighter wire. And we're going to lay a thread base with our 140 denier thread.
Mm-hmm. And that's just going on the end of the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess the
wrap,
base of the hook.
we'll wrap all the way back to the bend.
Now, why is that? For color?
No, it's just for security.
Okay,
you know,
because it's such a small hook?
Yes.
All right.
The longer the thread base you have wrapped on a hook, the better the
secure.
material is going to cling to it.
All right.
And then what we're going to do is get some of our chenille.
That looks like a little worm.
We do make flies that look like worms.
Mm-hmm.
They're called salmon worms, yes. And what we'll do is just strip the end of it off so you can see the little thread sticking out here. And we'll wrap that. Now sometimes when we're tying, it looks pretty crude when we're doing it, but after it's done, we can clean it up. So we'll wrap up till about 2/3 of the way. And then we'll wrap that off. Okay, got my thread in a tangle here, which is easy to do.
Thread is aggravating sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, when you first get started fly tying, you know, ask yourself, is this worth it or not? So,
Yeah, because of the thread.
yeah. Well, let's see here. And the thread, you know, the little stuff like it's so delicate that you really can't manhandle it like you wish you could.
Yeah, just jerk it and start over.
Yeah.
I like that little apparatus there.
And this, what we're going to do from here is cut the chenille off.
Really?
Now, we've got these little, tie these little rubber legs in here. We've got, this is what gives the fly its action. So what we're going to do is double this up. Cut them off. Wrap that back on there.
And so that's its little legs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever name any of them? Give them a name.
Well, the electric ant is the only one I've ever named, yeah. Yeah.
And the whole family's electric ants. Oh, that's neat.
What we're going to do, I've got to get this thing untangled again. We'll take our whip finisher again.
Uh-huh.
A little whip finish on it. Trim the legs up just a little bit. And that's the bluegill bully.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yep. That will lay on top of the water, and the little legs will wiggle, and, and the bluegill really tear it up.
And then you'll have a great mess of fish for dinner that night.
Let's hope so.
Well, thank you very much, Sonny. I'll tell you what, I didn't know anything much about this, except for, like you say, you see these and, and you think, well, that's fun, but, you know, it does take, you have to want to fly fish. And this has actually encouraged me to maybe branch out my fishing skills a little bit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you so very much for coming on today.
Welcome.
We certainly do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very fun. Well, that's our show for today. If you'd like to get in touch with us, we'd like for you to email us at handmadetn@bltv.net, or you can like us on Facebook at HandMade Tennessee. Very special thanks to our guest, Sonny Davis. Thank you very much. I'm Kimberly Vance, and I hope that you've been inspired to create your own HandMade Tennessee. If you enjoyed today's show, check us out on Facebook for other shows and information at www.facebook.com/HandmadeTennessee. You can also email us your comments or suggestions to handmadetn@bltv.net.